This Formula One Championship Odds 2026 Part 2 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Hopefully, you are starting your holiday week off with a smile on your face. It's Monday. Some of you have a short week, and you are going to be able to enjoy only a couple of days of work. So listen, you're already at Wednesday if you're starting your work week off right now. So enjoy what should be a short week for you.
I'm jealous of those people, Rod, but if you're one of those people, congrats, and thanks for checking us out during your condensed week. Happy holidays to everybody. Hopefully everybody's ready. It's, Christmas doesn't move. It's December 25th every year. I don't know if you know that, Rod. It is December 25th every year. But yet it always and you get prepared and we're ready for it, but it's like, oh shit, it's this week. Like, yeah, here it is. So we're here.
Well, and what I love is I saw there was a meme or something that was, what do kids call those things that are on? No, I'm just kidding. I saw it online and it was like, there's two mindsets of Christmas. I've got plenty of time, and then, oh shit. Like that's your two, all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I'm here. I need to hurry up and get stuff. Hopefully you've already got all that knocked off, and hopefully you're ready to make some bets with all of that Christmas cash that you saved by doing some value shopping over the course of the year. And we are here to help you to go over. Look, we went over and we set the table for this episode last week. So if you need a little refresher, if you need us to kind of let you in on what the Formula One landscape looks like heading in to the 2026 season, go back, listen to that episode. We'll give you all the driver changes. We'll give you all of the pertinent news and all of the new car information to help you decide where you want to put your money this year. However, Cody, I'll say, as wide open as it feels, I think it might be a little deceiving.
Yes, it is. It's funny because it is wide open, and I do believe that, but only to a handful of guys, right? It's wide open to this group over here of fellas who might be able to get it done. Yeah,
that's like saying, listen, anybody can win this, but these guys will probably do it. So it's and odds reflect that.
And for the NASCAR crowd that we have that doesn't watch F1 as much, it's not, I would say in a year-to-year basis in NASCAR, there is only a handful of drivers that really, truly can win it. There's a few more that could be outside shots, and you can make a case for them. Again, depending on NASCAR's given format that year. As we know, it changes, and maybe we'll find out eventually what they're going to do this year. But, it's, a certain percentage of the series has a shot at the title. That's what's realistic. The NFL is maybe a little different this year. But most years, right, it's any league, any series you go into, knowing kind of who's got the shots, but making the right bet, finding the right number, calling your shot. That's what it's all about, and that's what we're planning to hopefully do today.
Indeed, yeah. Like if you need a refresher, we went over it yesterday or last week, so you can grab all of that from that last episode. Plus, if you want more free picks and podcasts, you can find them all on the SGPN app, along with that last episode that we just did. Go download it if you haven't already. It's free in your app store. Just type in SGPN. All right, Cody. So, like I said, we went over everything that you need to know about who's in what car now and who is going to be on the grid. We've got 2 new cars and of course, 2 drivers that are returning back to the paddock, and we're excited to see those. But if you look at the odds for the 2026 championship season, you'll find a familiar name sitting atop the odds board. It is one Max Verstappen. I think the books decided they didn't want to get burned. Revenge tour. He's driving the number 3 car now, Cody. So his quest to claim the one back begins with plus 190 for Max on Caesars. Again, this is a reminder to shop around because on BetMGM, he's plus 250 to win the entire Drivers' Championship. And I guess rightfully so, because he was the one that won the last 5 in a row before Lando knocked him off his perch. So I don't know, Cody. What does it feel like?
That was barely, right? I mean, he made the comeback at the end of the year. So, yeah, I think it's obviously deserving. It's like Kyle Larson almost. Shocking we should compare these 2 drivers, Rod. But it's true, right? He doesn't necessarily win the Cup title every year, but he's the guy you're most scared of if you're the books. And if you had to pick one guy every year to be the most in the mix, odds not involved, he's the guy you're picking because these are the best race car drivers at the top of the game in their respective series right now. And so I think that is a good comparison when it comes to that is, yeah, Max Verstappen is the best driver in F1 right now. And the equipment, for that run of years was the top-notch equipment. And now it's definitely come back. And we talked again on last week's show, the last episode we had, about all the changes in the new car and all of that stuff here. So where, how does Red Bull do with that? They've obviously lost some of their higher up pieces and where do they fall into that? Are they able to bring him a car? Does he start out of the gate a little slower like he did this year to get an opportunity at more? Or is this the best you're going to get? And we might look back at this and be like, holy shit, can you believe we got Max Verstappen a plus 250 before the season? That I could see it going either way for sure.
And there's so many variables now with the new power unit, with the new rule changes, with the new floors, with everything that's different on this car. I feel like this is something that Red Bull already struggled with last year, trying to keep up with what was going on. And now this year you throw all of the different changes that we talked about earlier and the new driver in the second car. And so can Max do enough to overcome it? Obviously, he's a veteran enough driver to roll with the punches, but I mean, it's tough for me. Listen, the Australian Grand Prix odds are out on some of these books already. And if I'm looking right now at Hard Rock, he's 3-1 to win the opening race, right? The Australian Grand Prix is the opening race of the 2026 season, as if I can remember that far back. But yeah, I mean, I almost would say 250 for a futures, right? And this is where you start getting in the logistics of where you feel comfortable tying up your money for an entire year as you sit and wait for it to mature. Are you just doing this to have fun, to have something to cheer for Max Verstappen on? Or do you wait closer to the season, let him not win a couple of races, and then go back at it when it's 4-1 maybe? I don't think it'd ever be 4-1, but 3-1.
I mean, there were points this season, I don't remember how big the number got, but he was out of the race at one point. I mean, it was over, right? It was the 7-1s, 8-1s we had on Oscar from last offseason were looking great, Rod. But he came back. So I think that they will, and maybe because of how close he got this past year, they'll be a little more close to the vest on letting the number climb, right? But there is definitely potential you could get a bigger number for sure. Man, if you're looking between the favorites, like, do you trust Lando to come back and do it again? With all these changes, if there's a favorite that I'm going to bet on, how is it not Max Verstappen at plus 250? Because you're getting the best driver. You're getting a guy who, no matter the circumstances, like, go out and put him in your daily driver out there, and it's going to look better than half the field still, even though it doesn't have all the things that they have, right? He's just that good of a driver. Of the favorites, I mean, chalky to say it, obviously, but you might just pull the trigger. Great parlay piece for sure. You got some, Patriots win Super Bowl. That'd be a good bet. You could tie it in with the Patriots 49ers exact the Super Bowl, right? And put that in there, Rod. I think we could see that here soon. And it'd be a great piece to boost up numbers like that. So it's definitely, that's probably the biggest thing, is using this as a parlay piece along with some other stuff that you're wanting to bet on coming up to boost the number. You're gonna have to send the ticket, right? So that's the trade-off. You got to sit on it until next December. But it's fun to have those tickets in the queue and wait for them to cash for you.
What a great weekend of football so far for you and for Justin, of our friend over the Old Fashioned Football podcast. I'm just waiting for my turn, my leg of the parlay to hit between the Patriots, Bears, and the Niners.
I don't know if you saw the video today, Rob, the 91 bets in 91 days. I gave you a little shout out. I picked your 49ers, 5.5. Like, what are we talking? Phillip Rivers is like, they dug him up out of the grave to bring him back. The 49ers are going to murder him tonight on national television. They're gonna condone a murder on ESPN tonight, Rod. It's crazy.
It's elder abuse at this point, and I can say, as an old man rolling out to do a young person's job, I understand fully. It's going to be elder abuse out there. Love you, Phillip, but you know it. I know it. Everybody out there knows it. It's just going to be very unpretty. But that's all right. I mean, listen, I'm game for that. All right. So yeah, like you said, Max Verstappen, probably a good little parlay piece on there, which really brings us to Lando as we talk about Lando now. 3-1, the reigning champion for the circuit. He's 3-1 on Caesars. He's 3.5-1 on BetMGM. And I mean, listen, can Lando repeat? There was so much of Lando's season that was great. But toward the end of it, as he started to let Max Verstappen kind of slide back into the conversation, obviously he took that away from Oscar Piastri midway through the season and kind of took over the lead. And you can say what you will about team orders. You can say what you will about 1A, 1B. But the point of the fact is that he ended up winning the whole thing, right? He ended up running away with it at the end. Well, I don't say running away with it. He ended up securing it at the end. It did enough to be crowned the champion. Now he drives the one car for McLaren. But 3-1, it's close to the vest, but it's also just tempting enough to grab a Lando repeat at 3-1.
I would want for it to be bigger, I think. I know he's the reigning champion and will be the defending champ. He gets to wear the one, yes, but I don't feel like he went out and just dominated, because he didn't. He obviously had a great season and in the end put together just enough, barely, to hold off Max. Yes, and once you've been there, right, is this where we get on Lando's run? And McLaren, I think you have to feel good if you're a fan of the Papayas about how they'll react to this new car, right? Based on where they've been lately, the program they've built, the drivers they have, what they can put into this, you have to feel good. And again, a lot of unknowns with how and who will hit on this team, on this car. But man, again, like putting him and Max at similar odds, how do you not pick Max Verstappen? I'd rather have Max in my corner than Lando, I guess, going into the season. So deserves to be here, obviously defending champion, and the team looks strong. The one thing about it is you never know if he's going to be the 1A driver or if he's relegated to be 1B, depending on Oscar. I mean, we'll talk about him in a minute, but the way he started last year, for a while, Lando looked like the 1B driver for a bit, right? So, I feel like I trust Max more, and of the two, I'd rather have Max. But again, you could see the case why you'd pick Lando and why he should be great again and why he should be the next best guy on the board here.
I mean, I'm with you in that if you forced me to pick between these two, if you told me I could only place one bet, it would be Max Verstappen, because there's no way for me to say that Max can't come back and do this. Lando did it, right? And like you said, it wasn't convincing to the point where we saw Max do it the last few seasons. And so can he kind of stand up to the changes? I will say, though, that McLaren, out of everybody out there, is kind of dealing with the least amount of turnover and changes and everything, other than, the clean slate that this car gives everybody. It feels to me as if the McLaren team has come out of this offseason less scathed than most of the teams out there. So that's kind of a point in their favor in my book.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point right there. Obviously, the champions of both the Constructors title and of the Drivers' Championship. They had a great, solid season, and everything's kind of staying in place. Not much changes at the top of the board. drivers stay the same. You got two of the best already. Both at different times of the season look to be the sure bet champions. So, that's definitely a positive in their favor.
Indeed. All right, we've got a few more drivers to discuss on the other end of this, but I want to take the opportunity to first tell you about our friends over at Kalshi. We just partnered up with Kalshi, a real money prediction market legal in all 50 states, and in all 50 states, you can trade tons of markets, including sports, which is the NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, and more. Plus, you can even trade props like first TDs. Besides sports, they got a ton of other markets, including politics, entertainment. Hell, you can even bet on the weather. Like, is it already raining right here in California? If I was going to trade, I would trade on the yes, because guess what? It is raining out there right now. But they do have some great markets. How about the Oscar for Best Actor in 2026? Timothy Chalamet, or as I like to call him, Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong for Marty Supreme is actually in the lead right now. A yes will get you 55 cents to trade on. So if you invest $25 on a 55% chance, you can expect a return of $46 on the payout. So get involved with that or any other market out there. New Kalshi customers get $20 when you use promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, Kalshi, promo code SGPN. Told you about it once. Let's tell you about it formally now. Underdog. It's your home for pick'em entries where you can win up to 5,000 times your entry. Underdog's got you covered this holiday season with Underdog Unwrapped. You'll unwrap a ton of promos throughout the holidays. Told you, my Niners are playing tonight. Christian McCaffrey, 61.5 rushing yards is his projected total. Give me the higher than for sure. Christian McCaffrey is going to explode. I know this Colts rush defense is good, but it's Christian McCaffrey. For God's sakes, if I see anything lower than 90 on a projection, I'm taking it for Christian McCaffrey because we're going to be playing with the lead. Christian McCaffrey is going to keep running. He's probably still running right now. So give me Christian McCaffrey higher than 61.5 rushing yards. I love that entry. Use that and take the brand new offer if you're a new customer. Play just $5, get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACE, SGPN. I fully expect for Christian McCaffrey to just go ballistic this weekend.
Oh, I hope so. I need about 200 points from him in multiple leagues. So I'm hoping that he just has the greatest day in the history of fantasy football.
I'm not talking much about my fantasy football teams because they're first and foremost out of the fantasy playoffs. And what pisses me off, this is what I hate about fantasy football. As much as I love it so much, last week, nothing. Crickets. Same lineup this week in the consolation game, and everybody explodes. Like Joe Burrow throws like he's the Joe Burrow of 6 years ago, and I'm like,
That's the part of fantasy that I don't love. Is I had two teams that I had lost one game all season long, and I got to this week in the semifinals, and they had good weeks. Like, they've been great teams, but then, two random guys go off on the other team, and I get beat. And why do we love this game so much, Rod?
It's because we love torture. We love torture a lot like this next driver, George Russell, plus 450. He loves torture because, well, Jesus Christ, George, if you're listening, I don't know if you like that kind of torture.
Like, wow, Rod just really throwing George under the bus there.
Well, I mean, listen, right? He had a lot to complain about last season when it came to just being overall frustrated with this car, right? Obviously, George Russell, one of those guys, especially for Mercedes, who's the one driver ever since Lewis Hamilton exited this season. He is still the one driver, but Kimi's nipping at his heels a little bit. But George Russell plus 450, this is where we start getting into a lot of guys can, but will they realistically do it this year? And George won his fair share of races. George has been on the podium over the course of his seasons, but I don't know that he's ever been in the championship conversation when you're just talking straight up championship conversation. He has to win more. He's got to place more on the podium. He's just got to improve his overall running. Like last year, 2 wins, 9 podiums, but it still wasn't enough to get him completely into the conversation. He's finished 4th overall, right? But I don't know, right? It just doesn't feel like he's ready, I guess, to take that next leap into the McLaren and Red Bull stage. I don't know. It could just be me.
Yeah. He's a tough one, and I know our guy Preston is really on him to win the championship this coming season. And I love George Russell. I do think that he's got championships in his future. The problem is at this low of a number, it's hard. Like, I would love to call my shot on him at a bigger number and be like, this is the year with the car changing. And he has been, over the last couple of years, one of the more consistent drivers, for the NASCAR crowd. I think of him a lot like a Chase Elliott. Like, doesn't win a ton, but he's always right there, right? He'll consistently deliver you points, finishes, or top sixes in this case, right? He's always running in the top 10 like an Elliott is, that type of thing. And he'll jump up and win some races, and he's capable and he's good everywhere, but we've not seen that elite level out of him yet. And I think a lot of that's been the Mercedes equipment. It's not been the same since George has been there, for sure. Obviously, we saw the run with Lewis, and then it's kind of dropped off since then. So do they figure it out this year? Can George do it? Those are the two questions. Plus, I see a plus 450 out here, but I still don't think I just don't think the number is big enough to make me want to go jump on it. I think he could do it, absolutely. But is it worth betting on right now in December for him to do it? I can't quite pull the trigger on it.
Well, and to make the matters even stronger, on BetMGM, he's plus 325 to win. I forget, Lando, he's actually more of a favorite than Lando Norris on BetMGM to win the championship. So I don't know that I can pull the trigger on that.
Sure. Yeah. Caesars does have him a plus 450. So if you want a bigger number, they've got him over there. But and I guess if obviously you're getting a better number there, so great. The number I don't think is big enough for not having seen it yet, or really like, and that's I think the thing with Max, Lando, and even Oscar. Max and Lando have obviously both won it now, and Oscar looked on his way to winning it. At least you've seen that, right? There's never been a time in F1 where we've been like, George Russell could be the champion this year. Now, going to be a bit unfair for anybody else we talk about because, other than Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, I guess, too. But, there's Max and Lewis dominated for so long that there's not a lot of other people out there that have had chances. But George has never really felt like a threat. So to see him take that leap and get it done this year, I could see, but not at only plus 450 or even shorter, depending on where you're looking.
And really, that's where the crux of this whole argument is. It's not that we don't feel like he should or could. And obviously, look, he's an elite driver. He wouldn't be an F1 if he wasn't an elite driver in that capacity. But the problem is, like you said, we've got these heavy hitters up there in Max Verstappen and Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri that's been doing it right now. We haven't, Charles Leclerc, we haven't even gotten there yet. But like, these guys are in the conversation and they've remained in the conversation. He's got to break into that. Now, again, if he goes in, wins more than 2 races, now we're really honestly considering this, and his odds will probably be shorter than 450. But again, to be this early in the season, trying to speculate on George Russell making that leap, I don't know if I'm good to pull the trigger there. So let's go to somebody.
Yeah, and F1 does have win totals up, which would be really nice if we could get those in the NASCAR world books. If you're listening, we'd love to talk about those. But definitely a guy that I would be. I was trying to pull it up here quick, but I didn't get there fast enough. A guy that I would be interested to look at what that's a tease for you, right? We'll figure it out when we get to that episode, but might be interested in he's probably at 2.5, 1.5, something like that. Might be interested in taking the over in wins, because if you're going to take that next step, it's going to have to include more wins, right? A couple of wins probably isn't going to get it done. So that's going to be maybe a conversation when we get to that episode of seeing if he can get it done there. Rather than taking him on the championship odds.
Well, and he proved that a couple of wins is not going to get it done. He's had a couple of wins this year, had a couple of wins last year. He had 1 win a couple of seasons ago. Podiums are not going to get it done. You have to win races if you want to be a champion. So he's going to have to start winning more for me to consider.
Well, yeah, because obviously Max has won 20 plus wins or whatever, a couple of his titles, but even Lando had 7 or 8 wins last year. Oscar had 7 wins, I think, last year. Like, that's a big difference from, I think 2 is the most George has ever had in one season. So that's a big gap getting from 2 to 7. If you're going to be, not that you have to have that, but you've had to have had that for quite some time now. So you're going to have to be a lot closer to that conversation before you're the title favorite, I guess.
Speaking of those 7 wins for Oscar Piastri, that is what he had. 7 wins, finished 3rd in the points overall. 16 podiums for Oscar Piastri. He is next on the odds board at plus 450 over on Caesars, the same as George Russell. And again, if I'm taking George Russell and him at the same odds, I'm taking Piastri. But tell you what, this is why you go shopping. BetMGM, 7-1 for Oscar Piastri to win, to hold on to what he lost last season.
Yeah, 7-1. That's what we had last year, and it almost worked for us, Rod. So it sort of makes me want to get back in on it. And honestly, so this is the first one outside of Max where I'm like, okay, I can really see myself betting on this, because you look at a couple of things, right? He was only in his 2nd year this past year, and yet he comes out of the gate swinging. He gets 7 wins in only his 2nd season. And until 5-6 weeks left, he was going to be the champion. He was on his way. Now, he blew that, right, and struggled down the stretch. Okay, how many times do we see a quarterback has to get to the playoffs? Once, or 14 times in Josh Allen's case. But they got to get to the playoffs a couple of times, get some losses out of the way. They got to learn to get through those things before they get there. Now he's been in that position where he knows how to win races. He knows how to be in the championship lead for quite some time, and he just has to not choke it away this time. So we think that McLaren, again, as we talked about with Lando, is going to be in a good position going into this new car, keeping things the same at the top of the board, keeping the drivers the same. They were already a strong team. I mean, you look at all the pairings. There's 11 teams on the grid, right? You look at the pairings. This is probably the strongest one when you go from driver 1 to driver 2 at this point in time, right? Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, career-wise, you could probably argue is a little better. But at this time, I would say these are the top 2 guys, and clearly they won 14, 15 races last year between the 2 of them. So it's 7-1. Okay, now we're talking. We had this ticket last year. I can't let it go and not ride it back, Rod, because we're going to hit it this time. But yeah, this is definitely a big interested in this, because in making the comparison to Russell, again, it's no dig on Russell, or not that he can't do it, but we've seen it already in 2 seasons out of Oscar, whereas we haven't seen George be able to take that step. Again, is it an equipment issue? Whatever. Does this new car help? Maybe. But we've already seen it with Oscar. So, and you're getting a little bit of a bigger number, even better, right? That's in the betting world. That's what you're looking for anyways. So, yeah, Oscar is 7-1 on MGM. I will be getting down on that, because I think that we almost got it last year, and they're giving us another opportunity this year. Got to run it back.
And honestly, too, you made the point that I was about to make, as far as we have seen Oscar win and be at the top of the board. We haven't seen that from George. So for me, I don't understand a little bit why they decided to put George ahead of Oscar, given that Oscar was actually in the mix last year as far as the points leader and everything. So whatever, we'll take
Preston
the gift.
bet too much on him.
Yeah, that's what Preston hit he bet the odds down too much for him.
He drove the odds down, but
that's so ridiculous. All right, so Oscar Piastri, obviously, and look, these top teams, right? These McLarens, these Red Bulls, these Mercedes, these are the guys that we're obviously talking more about this year, because they were in there. Ferrari kind of in the mix, but that leads us to Kimi. And we'll kind of go with the Red Bulls, the Mercedes, and the McLaren. So Kimi is at 14-1. I love Kimi, love him to death, but I'm not quite sure that we're talking. If we're down on George, look, I know that Kimi. Look, I get it.
But
I understand.
it's not down on George. That's
true.
That's what sucks about having these conversations and looking at the odds, is it's not that we're down on George. I think he does deserve to be in that range. You'd want for a bigger number when it comes to the betting. But why couldn't Kimi be this year's Oscar? I mean, really, it's a very similar situation to 2 years ago. McLaren was on the up. We started to kind of see it from him, right? Oscar comes in, and he has a pretty solid rookie campaign. I think he did snag a win at the end of that rookie campaign. Kimi did not, but still a solid rookie campaign, kind of building up. Then they come into last year, and it was like, okay, McLaren's going to be the top team, or they're going to be one of the better teams. And then we saw him take that leap, right? So now with Mercedes, Kimi comes in, and I mean, you're replacing Lewis Hamilton. You're filling huge shoes. He does a pretty good job of it. He didn't find his way to the top of the podium, but he had a strong season. Now, as the odds would suggest, Mercedes should be really good this year, and maybe they're going to be that next best team right there. Take a big step with this new car, and if you want to be big on George Russell, I get it, and obviously Russell's the 1A driver and Kimi's the 1B driver. But let's say it comes out of the gate and Kimi starts winning right away and picks up some steam. Could they switch him to being the 1A driver? Could they treat it like McLaren does? And you're getting a lot bigger number, again, plus 350, 450 for George compared to 14-1 for Kimi. If he could take that same path that Piastri did, the betting number, again, don't come at me, obviously putting them next to each other. I'm going to pick Russell if you give me both of them at 14-1. But you're not. So at 14-1 for a betting case, I'm not saying I'm going to bet on Kimi, but you could build much more of a case of it because of the number, I think.
Yeah, and BetMGM has him at 10-1 too, so they're a little more confident that he can compete for the championship next year than Caesars is. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, with Kimi, you're right. I think there's an opportunity for him to come in and really, because he was competing a lot. Right? He did 3 podiums. Doesn't sound like he's competing a lot, but again, his average finish last year was 9.8, which is a points finish all the time. But I mean, that kind of had a couple of mechanical errors in there. In India, in Imola rather, he had a 19th place finish. That was a mechanical. That wasn't his fault. Engine at Cataluna, and then Spielberg, he had a crash out there, finished 19th. Damage at Silverstone and finished 16th. So there was some bad rough shots, but over the last part of the season, he was finishing within the top 5, top 6 more often than he wasn't. So that's all you ask, and then win some races.
Yeah. Again, it feels a lot like Oscar. I'm not saying that it's going to be the same trajectory, but I'm saying at the number, it could be the same trajectory, in which case you might not get a number like that later on in the season, right? And again, when you're trying to make these bets now, yes, you can bet Max at plus 225, and it might be the best number you get, but you also might be able to bet that in May or June, depending on how the season starts. Whereas with Kimi, yeah, it might get bigger, obviously, but you're getting bigger number now, which is easier to have sitting in your account, I guess, for that long.
Yes, it is. All right, we'll talk down a couple of more of our favorites, and then we'll do some constructors. But before we do, tell you about our friends over at Novig. We're also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. With Novig, you are getting the absolute best prices. Don't believe me? Told you about the 49ers taking on the Colts tonight. How about -5.5 for the San Francisco 49ers? You can get that at, up plus 114. Now it's plus 115. It literally updates as you're watching. So grab it because it just jumped up from 114 to plus 115 for Niners -5.5. You can kind of take the safe route if you want it, 3.5 and get minus 114. But look, give me those extra 2 points because what's a couple of points between friends, right? So San Francisco -5.5 plus 115. Go grab that before it jumps back down to 114. Go download the Novig app. Get $50 when you spend $5. If you use our promo code SGPN, get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. Rhythm has crushed NFL this season, especially on props. They've been really good at identifying when to fade players and to take those unders. College basketball is up and running, and with 300 plus schools, Rhythm has predictions for every game, every night. And just like a fine wine, it pairs nicely with the TCE shows with Matt, Colby, and Noah. Every game, you are prepared. Super easy to sign up, run predictions off the house model, or make your own and play with the sliders. With so many sports in the holidays, makes it easy to get an elite prediction on a game so I can focus on other sports. Let's turn our attention back to this 49ers game that's happening tonight. How about Kendrick Bourne? Over 25.5 receiving yards in this game. Brandon Ayuk is probably speeding down the freeway right now. He's obviously not available for this game. Ricky Pearsall now counted out of this game. That leaves Kendrick Bourne as one of the main threats in the Niners passing game. So we're going to go with Rhythm on this one and take the over 25.5 receiving yards on Kendrick Bourne at minus 112. Go do that. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off of your first month. Download Rhythm. Use promo code SGPN25. Yes, sir. I'm a little devastated for Ricky. He's had to come back from a gunshot wound only to have to sit out another game. It's like, bro, when can his season be better?
Yeah, that's tough.
It is. All right, let's talk down a couple of these other guys on the list. Look, here's the thing. Once you get past Kimi, and what I find to be amazing to me, Caesars has Fernando Alonso at 25-1. Cody, smash or pass on Fernando Alonso at 25-1.
That's going to be a pass from me, Rob.
And I feel like there's no conversation to even be had about this.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me that he's 25-1. I mean,
you want to hear something even funnier?
What?
He's 10-1. He's 10-1 on.
No, that's not a real number.
Look,
10-1.
Unless what is antipost winner? I mean that's got to.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Drivers' Championship as of 12/6/26 at 5 a.m. Fernando Alonso 10-1 to win. Do they know something we don't?
I have no idea, bro.
Fernando Alonso finished 10th in the standings last year, by the way.
Yeah, Antipost is just known as futures betting in the U.S. So that would be the Drivers' Championship.
That's what I thought.
So
that was an antipasta.
It's crazy. I mean, so Aston Martin has a lot of money, right? I mean, Lawrence Stroll is a very, they obviously all the teams do, right? But Lawrence Stroll particularly, and I think Lawrence does want to win. And we've seen some flashes from Fernando, but not the last 2 years, really. Like, I mean, 3 years ago, it was, the big teams and Fernando. I mean, they were included in everything, and it just, that's not been the case anymore. Do you have a stats pulled up in front of you? Did he finish on the podium?
No podium finishes over the last 2 seasons. In fact, he's only had 8 podium finishes in the last 4 seasons, and all 8 of those came in 2023.
And you think Phillip Rivers is old? Jeez, I mean, this guy.
Let me ask you: do you take a wild guess? When the last time he actually even won a race, let alone more than one?
Well, it's had to have been like 5-6 seasons ago.
Let's go farther back than that. How about 2013?
6-7?
You wish it was 6-7. He wishes it was 6-7.
2013?
He hasn't won a race in 12
years, and he's a 10-1 on some bucks to be the champion. We've already spent too long talking about him. I mean, there is no conversation to be had here. You don't bet on him. I don't think this new car is not some magic fix for him. He's a great driver. He's been around a long time. He's made a great career out of it. Good for him. There is no chance he wins the championship. And I don't even think if he's 200-1, I want to throw a flyer on him. Like, I don't have any belief that this team is suddenly atop the grid. 25-1, 10-1 is insane. I'm out.
I feel like that's one of those numbers where people would go, it suckers you in because you're like, oh, he's 10-1? Because because
it makes you think like, wait,
there's a chance.
Did he get put in a Red Bull?
Yeah.
Or what do they know that we don't know? They don't know anything, Rod.
Well, his teammate's 150-1. His teammate's 150-1, and
that might be the dumber number because Fernando could at least sniff it. There ain't no way that, I mean, you could have 18 cars not start races, and I don't think that Lance is getting there. We spent too much time on this team already.
We did. All right, next. How about the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc, 25-1?
This is where I get interested.
Charles Leclerc, 25-1. Lewis Hamilton is 40-1. I'm checking what they are on BetMGM right now. Lewis Hamilton is 33-1. Charles Leclerc, 22-1 on BetMGM. So much better numbers over on the Caesar Sportsbook. And look, right, this is Charles Leclerc was keeping pace with Max Verstappen a couple of seasons ago in the Drivers' Championship, and it was those guys duking it out. This year, Ferrari fell on hard times, not just from Charles Leclerc's aspect, but bringing Lewis Hamilton on board and having Lewis Hamilton have probably one of his worst statistical seasons in years. So can they rebound, Cody? And I feel like these numbers make you want to hope they do.
Yeah, these numbers make you speculate that they might be able to do it. So a couple of things. And I'm more interested in Shaw than I am in Lewis. Lewis is obviously legendary, but we're on the back end, right? And it would be absolutely magical if he could get it done. I would be rooting for that over anyone else if it had a shot. If you want to sprinkle some on there because you're a fan, fine. But Charles Leclerc at 25-1 he's the one I'm really interested in here, because you look at a couple of things, right? Yes, Ferrari fell off last year much more so than others, but we've changed the car. This isn't just rolling into another season with the same stuff we've had. And so maybe they were already pulling time and things away from this old car and looking ahead like, hey, what can we do? Can we get a jump start here? This is a legendary organization. They're going to figure it out at some point. And Charles Leclerc is a very, very good race car driver. And excuse me, he's been doing a great job for a long time. He's finished top 5 in the standings in 4 consecutive seasons. And he's been top 3 in 2. And maybe we've got a Joey Logano trend on our hands here. But 2022, second place. 2024, third place. So he's been better in the even years as of late. 2026, the year of Charles Leclerc, at 25-1 for a guy that has shown he can win races, has shown he can go toe-to-toe with Max when he has the same or equal equipment, right? This is a bet I'm absolutely placing, especially going into the season with all the unknowns, right? It's not rolling over with the same car. Not much is changing. They've made some changes in their structure. Yes, the 2 drivers are coming back. You certainly can learn things from Lewis now that they've had a season under their belt together. While Lewis is not at the level he once was, this is, I'm absolutely in on Charles Leclerc at this number, because you look at the big teams, and this is the end of the big teams, right? We've talked about the McLarens. We talked about the Mercedes. We talked about the important half of Red Bull. For some reason, we talked about Fernando Alonso. And now you've got the Ferraris, right? As we mentioned before, there's only a certain amount of people that can realistically win this. This is the end of that list. These are the guys that can still realistically do it. And getting 25-1 on Charles Leclerc with enough unknowns going into it, maybe they hit things right, and knowing the talent level he has, absolutely am betting on him right now. Yeah, and again, this is one of those instances where this is a guy that can and proven to have been able to go toe-to-toe with and even when Max was winning like 600 races, Charles was still in the conversation until Max completely took him out of it. But yeah, Charles Leclerc for me is really one of those guys. Lewis Hamilton, like you said, if you're a fan and you want to keep your money tied up in a 40-1 and hope that he gets it done one last time before he rides out in the sunset, that's fine. But I'm with you. I think Charles Leclerc is a good speculation, given that I think there's no way to go but up for him again this year. And I think them missing out on being, and we say fall off, Cody, but they finished 5th, 6th in the standings, right? They finished, it was Charles Leclerc 5th and Lewis Hamilton 6th. So we say fall off, and it's not really that far of a fall. And like they had some good runs down the stretch. It wasn't consistent, and it wasn't every week they're battling for podium, but Shaw had some good runs down near the end of the season. It's not like, oh my God, they weren't doing great. Like there was a point in the season where, yes, it was like, oh boy, things are not going good at Ferrari, but they sort of bounced back from it. You switch to this new car. We've seen what Shaw is capable of, right? I mean, finishing second to Max a couple of years ago, sure, it wasn't close because Max was just dominating the world, but he was winning some races against him and running with him. So we've, again, even if you compare at the drastic number difference, Shaw to George, Shaw's shown us more in his career than we've seen from Russell so far. Not that Russell can't do it, but at a much larger number, give me Charles Leclerc or Shaw Leclerc or whatever you want to call him. I don't know. I always feel weird calling him Shaw. Shaw it's not Shaw, it's Charles, but whatever. All right, so let's leave that there. Like you said, the end of the conversation for folks who can do it. Just some notables. Isaac Hadjar making his Red Bull debut is 80-1 to win the championship. Yeah. Carlos, I mean, you could certainly, like, maybe Red Bull really hits it. Maybe Max, knock on wood, has an injury, and Hadjar 80-1, like, is the hero. Sure. Outside of that, oh no, you can read the numbers, but there's nobody else I would even consider betting. No. Cadillac in their first year in the series, Sergio Perez 250-1, Bottas 300-1. Round that out. Speaking of constructors, Cody, last year it was a McLaren runaway, 833 points in the championship standings for the teams.
Right behind them, Mercedes. I say right, but that's almost 400 points behind. Mercedes 469, Red Bull 451, Ferrari rounding out the top 4 at 398. So we take a look at their odds for Constructors Championship. McLaren plus 130. Ugh, man, that's such a crazy number to bet this early in the year.
I mean, that's probably right, though, because like we mentioned already, they have the best grouping of drivers. It really is them above anyone else. I mean, we can make the case for taking Max over Lando all day long, but trying to lump in that second Red Bull car, and while we don't know exactly what we have in Hadjar, and we've seen some bright spots, and we think that maybe he's the driver, that second Red Bull car has struggled for a few years now, and Max can only do so much for the team himself, right? So, I really think this comes down to two teams, honestly, and McLaren should be the leader in the clubhouse for that, because they've clearly got the best top two drivers.
Well, and so then let's just Red Bull 12-1. I mean, that's honestly what you said. Isaac Hadjar taking over that second seat. Does he do enough to keep Red Bull in contention? I don't know. I'd like to hope that his top 6 finishes translate into podium finishes more.
At 12-1.
It's tempting.
I was thinking
it's tempting.
For the record, Red Bull was not the second team I was throwing in there. But
I figured they weren't.
At 12-1, man, because Max himself can do so much heavy lifting, and we've seen it before. Max does all the heavy lifting. All Hadjar has to do is show up and be decent enough, and they could take this at 12-1.
I like this better than Max to win the whole thing.
Maybe. You're going to have to get Max to win the whole thing to win this, I would say. But if Hadjar can just pull his weight, Max will do the heavy lifting, and I actually really like this. Red Bull 12-1 is a bet I'm placing for the Constructors title.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. Again, 12-1 is just, this is if you're hoping for Hadjar to not be.
Because you're getting the discount of, look, clearly McLaren has the best two drivers, and Mercedes is the other team, right? They've got the next best set of drivers. Ferrari, everybody's a little bit out on. We don't know what we're going to get. But you look at Red Bull, and Max counts for 1.5 times, and all you have to do is get the half pulled from Hadjar. They could certainly get this done. 12-1 is a great number on this. I really actually kind of like that a lot.
I do too. You brought up Mercedes plus 160 for them. We just talked about both of their drivers. Obviously, they're both podium finishers. They're both top 6 finishers. They're just, if they want to win the Constructors Championship, like I said, they got to put more wins in the win column to get it done.
Yeah, and I think that's where, again, if you're going to compare different guys or different teams in this case at the same number, you have to go with the team that you already know can do it and the team that's done it. McLaren walked away with the Constructors title this past year. As I've mentioned 7 times already so far, they've got the best pairing of drivers. So if you're giving me Mercedes, who we think has 2 great drivers, George has done a lot, and Kimi is up and coming and potentially could take that step. But we already know that these 2 guys can do it, and there's no reason to think that McLaren is going to take any step back with this new car. So if you're picking between the 2, I think you have to go with McLaren because they've already proved they can get it done. As much as I like Mercedes, as much as I like these 2 drivers, we still need to see it at the same number. If you're getting a bigger number, a different conversation could be had, but you got to give me Mercedes or McLaren. Oh, boy. Now we can say it either way. Right? We can go back and clip this either way. He said Mercedes in there. That's what he meant.
Too many M names. That's all there is to it.
But yeah, I think you got to go with McLaren of the favorites.
Check in real quick with Rye Cape. Rye Cape saying, "What's good, fellas? What's good, Rye? Good to see you,
buddy."
All right,
only 55 days till Daytona, Rye.
No, cannot.
Right around the corner, buddy.
Right, yeah, 2 months. Let's go. All right, so then the last team to really talk about is Ferrari plus 650. I'm out. Again, we talked about
for
it.
where their championship numbers are. This doesn't make any sense,
No.
right? If this was a bigger number, I would argue for it because I've already made the argument for Charles Leclerc and Lewis. We know can pull his weight, and that's probably why the number is shorter. But yeah, I just at this short of a number, I don't think you can get behind it. Like, just go individually bet those guys to win the championship, because if they're going to likely, I would say you're going to have to win the championship, the drivers' championship, to win the constructors' championship. I take that back because Max could certainly win the Drivers' Championship and not win the Constructors. But yeah, just the number's not big enough for the Ferrari guys. I don't think it. Plus 450. I'd rather just take Charles Leclerc to win the driver's title. I don't know that we're going to get a big enough step up from both of those guys at this short of a number. So if you want to bet one of the favorites, it's McLaren for me. Probably not personally going to bet it. Parlay piece, maybe potentially. But Red Bull 12-1 is truly the Constructors title bet at this point.
Well, and it just amazes me because if you look at between the two, Isaac Hadjar in Racing Bull's equipment versus Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari equipment, like, yeah, there was a decent enough gap in the standings. Lewis finished sixth, Hadjar finished 12th, but like, it felt like Hadjar had a better year given the fact that he was in that kind of equipment. And average finish wise, Lewis was 8.5. Isaac was 11.8, so we're only talking a couple of spots on the grid overall.
I'm so curious to see if there's just something wrong with that second Red Bull seat, like, because it seems like we've seen some decent, like Yuki Tsunoda was impressive. He was the guy we bet on all the time in the Racing Bull or whatever Cash App, Visa card, whatever it was called at the time. But then he gets promoted to the Red Bull seat and he just sucked. Like, he was not good at all. And we saw Checo be good for a long time and then just mediocre at the end. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Again, new car, that might help. And they've had some technical shifts over there and whatnot. But hopefully it's not a cursed second car for Hadjar.
I hope not. I'd love to see him do good things in that second Red Bull car. All right, just for housekeeping purposes, Aston Martin 18-1, Audi 28-1, Alpine 50-1, Williams 50-1, Racing Bulls 125-1, Haas 150-1, Cadillac 200-1. That's just for housekeeping.
Do you think that Lawrence Stroll has just bet so much money on Fernando and his team to win these titles that's why the number's so, like, he just went and placed ridiculous bets on his own teams just to show his buddies, like, look, we're going to be good this year.
He's like,
that's got to be the only reason they could possibly be this high in any of the odds. This makes no sense at all. I don't understand.
Mr. Stroll, my Venmo is as such. If you would like to send me the money that you were going to put on that, I can put much better use to that money than you're pumping the books.
It just, the Aston Martin thing blows my mind.
It doesn't make any sense. But, I mean, again, these top four are the top four. They're likely going to be the top four by the end of the whole thing again. And like Cody said, I think that Red Bull 12-1 number is just too good to pass up this early in the season because it's not going to be that way once we get the season going.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, yeah, that's of the Constructors portion, that's the one I would take today.
All right. Well, that'll conclude the F1 discussion for the better part of however long it takes this year. It'll be the end of F1 discussion this year. We'll pick it back up next year.
Careful, Rod. We got to fill out shows next week.
Oh, shoot. That's right. Never mind. All right. For the rest of the week, we'll come back tomorrow, and we're going to talk about some one-and-done picks for the NASCAR season now that schedule's locked in. Stuff's kind of getting to the point where we need to start making some one-and-done picks.
There's really nothing that's going to change now and in the next couple of months that's going to make us change our picks, I don't think, for doing the one-and-done. So if you're not familiar, and now NASCAR actually runs this on their sites. That's probably what we'll use this year because we always do a contest every year. But you get the 36 drivers essentially, and you pick one driver for each race, and you can only use them once. It's much like a survivor pool, except you're not being eliminated, right? Once you use a driver, you can't use them again. So we go through and do our preseason picks, and the preseason picks performed better than I did last year. Low bar because I had a horrendous season. But it's a lot of fun to walk through and okay, where are you going to save drivers for? What tracks are they better at? And kind of set the lineup. And again, like a survivor guide that I know the guys on the main Sports Gambling podcast do that every year. They kind of track out. This is the path we would like to go on. And things are going to change, right? You're going to realize quickly, wow, the Raiders are really bad. Maybe you need to not pick them. But there's going to be things, throughout the season where you make minor changes. But it's nice to have that guide to kind of look back on and roll with. So, yeah, we'll go through and pick all 36 races and which driver we'd use in each one. It's a pretty fun time, so looking forward to it.
Indeed. So come back for that tomorrow, and then we'll wrap up one more. We'll turning into two parts because we figured out last year we can't just do it all in one. So it's a two-parter.
We like to talk too much.
Yeah, even today we said, we'll keep it short, and here we are, 55 minutes into it.
That's short for us. Right?
That is short for us. But all right, well then let's tie a bow on this one as we wrap this gift for everybody opening it around the Christmas time. And in the meantime, Cody, as we wait till tomorrow, let everyone know where they can find you outside of this little confined space.
Yep, follow me over on the X at Husker_Z. You can find all of my stuff there. Lots and lots of stuff. We got tons of football going on right now. Bowl games. I have little articles out for every single day that there's bowl games with picks for all the games. So check those out. NFL stuff, Christmas Day slate, I'll have that. Interesting quarterbacks we're going to see on Christmas Day, Rob. But I'll break it all down. I'll have best bets for you. Lots and lots of other stuff. So check it out at Husker_Z. And see you guys tomorrow.
Your definition of interesting is interesting. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. You can find all the stuff that I am up to out there on that page as well. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow with some one and done picks. So until then, let's go racing. Let's make NASCAR gambling fun again and let it ride.